It is 4:03. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm going to steal it. So I have Mark LaHood on Zoom, and we're going to pause for a minute though, because Bob Thompson is also going to Zoom in because he got stuck at work. So we're going to talk about our Bank of New Hampshire Fire Station loan first, because we have documents to sign and get out. And as soon as Bob comes on, then we will go ahead and switch over to our Zoom call and talk about the number 3B, which is the extended liquor license request.
Right.
Sound good?
Yes.
All right. So we have numerous documents that have to be signed, and we need to make sure that they're all signed in the right places. There's a triplicate of these too, so
Yes,
so as soon as we get these done, Julie can get hopping. The first, and these are all documents with Bank of New Hampshire to secure our general note for the purpose of the fire station.
Yep.
So the first is the general obligation note line of credit rider. And the way this is going to work, I'm just going to do a little narrative while we're signing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a construction loan, so it's not that we're borrowing $5.5 million today. We are simply securing the line for the purpose of dispersing as needed.
Yep.
You just sign
Yep.
once on
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And just so to make a record, this is
In
a
this bottom one here, there's only one.
Yes.
Oh, I just have the other.
5.13% interest rate, and the original issue date will be June 6th, 2025, which is the date we are closing on this. And if we decide to refinance the loan or apply for a bond, there is no early payment
Oh, good.
penalty.
Julie told me that. That's good.
Yes, so
Good
just
news.
any other things that
So
you
we-
can think of for questions that you have?
Well, and the possibility is we could get a lower interest rate even
Correct.
still, although right now.
Depends on what the bond
The
bank
rates are going
has.
the other way.
Exactly. So it depends on what the bond
Yeah.
bank
No, that's good.
has next
Good.
year. And
Yes, they're really-
this has been an interesting process for all of us, I should say, because of this loan, we
Oh, she
will
wants us to
be
make a motion.
You have to make, did you make a motion?
a motion on each document,
No, just.
or just the one?
Just the total. yeah.
Okay, so I've been gabbing too much. The other thing though is we will be having an audit of our financial statements moving forward, and we'll go back to 2024, 23 for confirming beginning balances, and then 24 and moving forward. So we will have a new line item in the budget for that, but it will benefit us in the long run for other situations, and an audit is a wonderful thing to have.
Do we
So,
think we should audit every year?
yes.
That's
It's
what we used to
something that
do.
you do, yeah.
No,
yeah.
it happened.
And we stopped
It was
doing it
gone.
because of the cost
Okay.
and the fact that we didn't need it, and now we do need it for
Okay.
purposes of financing, so it is a good thing to have regardless. We've always had what's called a compilation, so there's 3 levels of service that an auditor would do for financials,
Mhm.
and a audit is the highest and most expensive, the other 2 are down.
Frank
So-
Conley was our auditor for years. Did you know him? He was a
No.
banker of North Conway Bank, which
No.
is no longer there. Some people, well, maybe not anybody recognizes the name, but he's still around. You remember Frank Conley? Yeah, of course he does.
All right, so Bob is on the line now. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
And in order to finish this, we'll finish signing later, but I will make a motion to sign the documents for the obligation of borrowing money from the Bank of New Hampshire for $5,182,135 at 5.13% interest.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And we'll finish signing as soon as we're done here. And then the second thing we're going to start on is the extended liquor license request from Mark LaHood for the purpose of a summer concert series. So I'm going to give a little background here for the 3 of us. Mark has advertised for a summer concert series, and I reached out to him because we didn't have any kind of permitting for an outside concert series. And so Mark, we talked on the phone about the purpose of doing this, and that in the past for amplified music, we've had tents, which Mark knows because of other wedding venues and things, that we've had tent requirements that, for any amplified music and extended liquor licenses. So part of our extended liquor licenses that we have issued in the past, and I have a copy of one, says that amplified music will be held under a tent, all sidewalls remaining fully closed at all times while amplified music is being played, noise levels not to exceed 90 decibels as measured from the center of the tent or from the center of the music as measured by a calibrated decimeter, and music will not play any later than 10:30 p.m. So when Mark and I spoke last, it was just to talk about some of the logistics of the event. And what we're going to talk about tonight is one event, Mark, if that's okay, talking about the first event, because we want to see how that goes and what we decide to do tonight based on the purpose, or the authorization of that one event. So you gave us some drawings of where you were going to erect the tent, and the band is actually in a music trailer, but you are going to have a tent around the trailer?
Right, so unfortunately, the trailer doesn't fit inside the tent. The tent is now up.
Okay.
Put the tent up on Friday. The trailer doesn't fit in it, so I'm dropping the sides on it, per the code or requirement, and it'll just be inside the tent.
Okay. And the tent, Kevin has looked at it as far as size, and everything adheres there. It doesn't have to be inspected by Jay because it's not big enough. Is that correct? By the fire department, I should say. And and so the adherence of the 90 decibels and the tent's walls will be down, will be adhered to. And are you serving alcohol in the tent?
No.
You're serving it at all of your other areas that you have the extended liquor license for, and not in the tent?
Correct.
Okay.
The tent is only to house the band, and people will sit on the lawn, but it's a family event, so people will be outside playing lawn games, kids in jumpy tents, people at the pool, people having, cookout hamburgers, hot dogs, those types of things, and playing games. It's an outdoor, sit in the lawn, fun family event.
And if people want to listen to the music, they will go inside the tent?
No, because the music will be, it'll protrude outside the tent, I'm sure.
Okay, as long as it's not 90 decibels as measured.
No.
Okay.
No problem.
And your plan is to have the music from 7 to 9 p.m., not going up to the 10:30?
It's 6 until 9.
6 to 9?
And right at 9.
Okay. Frank, what questions, concerns do you have?
I don't know, I think my concerns, of course, was always the noise and some of the things that we've heard from the wintertime, but that's the ski problem, that's a whole different thing. So this is something that we do all the time, as long as he adheres to some of these sound things and putting the flaps down in the tent and all that stuff, Mark. And I know you know how to do it. You only run about 19 or 20 different properties. That this should work, And I think it'd be a nice summer event. The way you wrote it up about how it's a family affair.
Yes.
You're not telling everybody to get up there and be rowdy, but at the same time, we got to make sure that certain things are adhered to, particularly for our police. All right, and they're all here.
Yes, we don't want a rowdy event. We don't want a drinking party. We want a family event where people, so the adults may have a drink or two, but we want kids to go and have fun. We want them to go in the pool. We want them to play games. We want them to hang out all afternoon.
Bob, what are your comments, questions, concerns?
Well, I just want to reiterate, as you said, alcohol is not going to be served inside the tent. Is that the same thing as saying alcohol is not allowed in the tent?
No, we're not serving alcohol outside, or you can't transport alcohol from where we are licensed to the tent. And we're not
That's
setting
why
up
I'm asking that question.
Right.
I'm
We're
trying
not
to get some
setting up a
clarification.
The only place that we can allow to drink alcohol is inside the Shovel Mantle Pub or inside the licensed pool, fenced pool area. Outside of that, you can only have soft drinks.
And so you're going to take some security and or signage measure to ensure. shovel handle pump.
Exactly, so we're gonna put additional signage both at the pool and inside the shovel handle pump. You know, it's the same signage we have everywhere, we put up extra that says non-alcoholic beverages not permitted beyond this point for New Hampshire big liquor law.
And all tent walls will be down for the entire time.
Yes,
And are you taking cooling measures?
cooling measures for the tent.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we found that some of the people we partnered with in the past, just depending on the weather outside, tent walls down can lead to quite a humid hot atmosphere.
This Saturday is supposed to be cool, but I have the portable tent
Rainy.
air conditioning from the Christmas Farm Inn that I'm moving over.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
They work out appropriately.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just thinking, the very first time we tried this at the Eagle, the side walls went up because it was unbearable inside. And then we turned around and said to the Eagle, you told us the side walls were going to be down, and they went up. And then their answer was, here's why they went up, and we're going to take measures to make sure it's cool, and that will never happen again. So that's why I'm proactively saying, you've got measures to make sure that it's bearable in that tent.
Right. Both of the air conditioning units from Christmas Farm and tent will be over at Whitney's in that tent. Yes.
So I guess I'm wondering why, help me, Frank and Barbara, understand why we're having a conversation if alcohol is not going to be allowed outside.
We're basically clarifying everything because it was sort of, this is new to us and it's sort of up in the air, but
Right.
part of this also comes as being precautionary because of the things that happened. And Mark, you're kind of taking the brunt of this because of the events that happened at Black Mountain. So that would drive me to my next question as far as parking, because you share a parking lot with Black Mountain in that area. What are you anticipating for crowd size, and how are you going to deal with parking?
Yep. I showed Kevin and Jay how I'm cordoning off the entrance to Shovel Handle Pub and directing everybody through the Black Mountain entrance, having them park on the dirt parking lot at Black Mountain, so that I don't have cars driving through where people are walking and standing, watching the band back and forth from the Shovel Handle Pub to the tent. So I'm not allowing cars through there. There's plenty of parking over on the Black Mountain side, and they're allowed to do that, obviously. I don't know, if I got 300 people, I'd be ecstatic. If I got 500 people, I would be doing backflips. Who knows? It's going to be rainy on Saturday,
Of course.
67 degrees is a high, you know.
But I wanted to go back to the question because I don't think anybody addressed it. Why are we having this conversation if they're not serving alcohol outside?
Because of the noise ordinance and the noise, so I wasn't aware that the tent was going to be provided before we set this meeting, and that tent walls were going to be down. So I think that at this point, we're really confirming that we're dealing with a situation that is consistent with the way we've treated all other outside events. So,
But we're not approving an extended liquor license for this event, correct?
that's correct. It's more a,
The letter you read from is for businesses that want an extended liquor license.
right. So we don't really have anything on our noise ordinance
Right.
that requires this, so it doesn't fall under the extended liquor license. But at the
Right.
same time, if we gave Mark the okay to have an outdoor concert without tent walls being required, and that's not really stated anywhere, then we could have one of the other venues come back to us saying, well, you let somebody else have a concert outside with no tent walls down, why not us? And I don't think we restrict the tent walls just because alcohol is served there. It's for the noise side of these things. So we're not dealing with two consistent things. And I
But
just,
if we're not dealing with an extended liquor license, the letter needs to be have some edits.
Correct.
It says extended liquor.
Yeah.
And
so
it needs to
the-
reference,
It's really more a noise ordinance.
not an extended liquor license permission in any way.
And-
It's about finding a way to be reasonable and come into compliance with the noise ordinance, maybe is what that letter should state. And with the criteria are fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the letter that came around that I looked at was all about an extended liquor license.
Right.
Or am I missing something?
Nope, I think we were just clarifying everything in this meeting tonight with Mark to make sure that we're all on the same page. And again, unfortunately, just being extra careful based on the events that happened in that area previous to this that were not related to
Yeah.
Mark. So I do have one question about this. Is Black Mountain at all involved in this presentation of the series, or is this strictly you, Mark?
It's strictly us. They were going to run the lift to the mid-station, and now it sounds like they're backing out. I think they're a little nervous with everything that's happened.
Rightfully
We're
so.
just trying to make fun for the kids and families to go ride the lift.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like they're very interested in participating right now.
Okay, good. Then, any other questions on your side?
I feel pretty good about this.
Chief Purley, you are here, and I know I was looking at some of your concerns that you had as far as parking, ambulance, things like that. What other concerns do you have that have not been answered yet?
I have some concerns about the setup of the tent and the stage and the crowd size. So let me address, can he hear me first of all?
Mark, can you hear
Yes.
Chief Purley? Okay,
Okay.
I'm actually
So-
gonna turn so you can see.
The first thing, Mark, that catches my attention is you have an estimated crowd size of 300. You're hoping for 300.
Yes.
If this tent is gonna house the participants,
It's not,
what is the tent doing?
it's housing the band.
And no one's gonna be in the tent,
Just the band?
Mark,
just the band?
is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be people that walk in and out of the doorway of the tent to get closer to the band, but I envision the people outside playing lawn games and sitting on picnic blankets and being in the jumpy tent in and out of the pool. I don't anticipate people piling into the tent because I can't let that many people in.
So is the band going to be fully enclosed in a 20 by 20 tent with the sides down?
Yes.
Okay. My concern about capacity is that a 20 by 20 tent is generally regulated for about 65 to 80 people.
Mhm.
You'd have to add about 300 more square feet for a stage. So the tent itself is 400 square feet if it's 20 by 20. So you're really talking about a tent that completely is all but 100 feet is used, square feet, by the stage. And they're gonna play, and then ambient music is gonna like come out from the inside of the tent, and people are gonna go in the tent or not go in the tent.
Would they have speakers? Are there gonna be speakers on the outside, Mark?
There can't be because the music has to be inside.
And
Right.
no, or anything? No?
Okay.
Right,
And
and Kevin,
90 decibels, which,
yeah,
as measured by the center of the tent, which is the standard for everybody else, right? As indicated. So I guess for clarification, this is not an extended liquor license request, Mark?
Correct.
Okay. So you're gonna be serving and people will be enjoying, you'll be serving and people will be enjoying alcohol only in the areas that are currently allowed.
That is correct.
All right.
Not in front of the band.
What do you mean, Julie? No.
I just said,
Is the tent area a current service area?
no,
Then you'd have to have an extended service license for people to go in the tent, if they're drinking.
if they're drinking, and he said they're not,
And
that's
they
the
won't
part
be
they're
drinking
not.
inside the tent.
We're not setting up a bar in the tent, and you're not permitted by New Hampshire State Liquor to transport liquor in your
Okay.
hand from the licensed
Right.
area.
And what safeguards at the entrance and exit of the tent are going to be in place to ensure that that does not happen?
I
Like-
could I'll place a staff member there that makes you feel more comfortable.
Oh, yeah, I think a staff member has to be there.
Oh, absolutely, okay.
I mean, because I think you could envision it's easily I'll use the term attractive nuisance. If somebody's having a drink and playing cornhole, they'll want to go to the 100 feet left over in the tent and drink and listen to the band. But somebody's got to be there saying you can't do that.
But they can't be drinking.
Okay,
Like,
stop.
Sorry.
What is the time of the event and the duration?
6 to 9 is the band. So the tent will be only for the band from 6 to 9. The rest of the day is for events, if I'm getting that right, Mark.
Yes,
So this is so is it a concert series or is it like a field day and there is a concert?
we're calling it a concert series because it sounds more exciting. You know, it's summertime family fun.
Summertime family fun, okay.
You know, we have all kinds of games, jumping tents, cornhole.
Yeah.
The pool going.
Actually, you have a pretty good explanation of that and
Yeah.
the timing on your website, which talks about the different events and the time that the band plays.
Yep.
Okay,
It's
so,
not BYOB, is it?
No,
No, God, no.
Well, I think it's a,
I have one more concern. So my concern is not about his staffing.
hold on one sec. Bob, okay, we just lost Bob for a minute.
So-
Oh, there you go, Bob. Go ahead, chief.
My concern is not about his staffing for the event, because it doesn't sound like he's having an extended service. So that's business as usual.
Mhm.
The music, presentation, amplified or not, will be under a four-wall tent and no louder than 90 decibels.
Right.
And over at 9, so no problem there. He's gonna have staffing that will regulate egress and ingress to make sure they don't go in there and drink. My concern is, now that we're having these additional events, is our staffing. We have no real capacity to increase our staffing for a concert series in town at current funding levels. These were not anticipated when we did a budget. My concern is that these events, and we should be in the front of them on public safety, not behind them like we were, if, past experience teaches us anything. And I would like to see paid police details by these proprietors. Now, I don't know if he has to have a police detail because it sounds like it's a business as usual,
Right.
but it's not a business as usual. So I guess what I'm putting the town on notice of is we do not have any ability really to responsibly up armor the staffing for an event like this without an unanticipated cost. And those unanticipated costs are usually borne by the proprietor of these events. In any community when they have these things, unless it's a course of regular business. So what I'm saying is, if the town wants additional police coverage, or it's required of the proprietor in any plan, either from, missteps in the past or anticipated problems. I mean, 300 people, that's not super unmanageable, but that's a guess too. Somebody has to be accountable for the cost, because that's not a budget
Okay.
event, nor is it a scheduled event. As everybody knows, we have, thankfully now that we have well on with about 16 hours a day coverage, 7 days a week, barring court, personal vacations, sick time, or training assignment. So, that's one person
Yep,
in town should things go awry. Or not in town, because somebody could be off.
right.
So those are my concerns. Anyone have any other concerns? All right.
Thank you. All right, on that,
I was just my suggestion. Let's see how the first date goes, because there's 7 dates.
right,
And then we can reassess, right? You know what? Everyone seemed to want to go into the tent. So rather than a 20 by 20 tent, let's put up a or, you know what, this doesn't work, or that doesn't work. Like, I don't know how it's gonna go. We've never done it before.
Right,
You know, so I'm willing to make adjustments here. Chief Burley, if we needed a police detail, and that was something that had to, the expense had to be borne by the business, I'm okay with that too. I want a safe event also.
right. And Mark, I think this is where we were heading, and Bob, sort of to go back to your question, this is where we were heading because this is new territory for us, is to have this conversation tonight, grant the license or the approval for this event as a one-time event, and then if everything goes well and we have no complaints and there's nothing, you know, I don't want to punish you by previous events, but we are learning from experience, like Chief Pearlie said. I'd like to see if the 3 select board agree on approving this event, then we say, great, it went really well, thank you for the organization, you know how to staff for things, and we can talk about the next one coming. And it also will have to do with the neighbors and how that goes with the neighborhood.
Of course.
Okay, so
Fair.
Frank and Bob, any other questions?
No,
Well, I think the reason I asked the questions I did and Chief did, and what we were trying to understand is, and not that it's any of our business, but we're trying to understand your business model. How would an event without alcohol allowed outside attract 300 people? But it sounds like you've got a plan for that to happen, so that's great.
I mean, they're naturally going to want to go inside. They're naturally going to want to sit down and eat. Some will have hamburgers and hot dogs, but some people are going to go inside and have dinner, and they're going to go inside and want to drink. They're going to hang out at the pool all day long if the weather was nice there, and eat, drink at the pool. So the problem is, not that it's your problem, the problem is when my revenue drops to $2,000 a night, which it has, my fixed cost to open that shovel-handled pump is $2,500. And so I'm losing money on a nightly basis, and that can't continue. Typically in the summer, it was always sold for a wedding on Saturday nights. So people aren't aware that the shovel-handled pump is open every Saturday. So I'm trying to raise awareness that I'm open. If I could get my revenue up to $5,000 on a Saturday, which isn't like a weekend in the winter during ski season, it's half of that, but neither here nor there, I'm not losing money. So if I could get to that point, it's a win for me. If I continue at the $2,000 rate,
Yeah.
I can't sustain it forever.
Right,
So this we brainstormed, and this is our idea to bring people in during the summer months. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work.
Right.
We certainly want to give it a try, and we're absolutely want to do it respectfully for the town, for the neighbors. We want to adhere to the rules and regulations, and if we have to adjust, we'll adjust.
great. I think we're all on the same page as far as the select board goes. Is there actually anything that we have to approve then if it's just an outside event? It's not an extended liquor license, so it's really an event to approve the outside band under a tent with the noise ordinance. So we will draft something and have it signed, and I'm going to make a motion to approve the tented event at the Shovel Handle Pub and Whitney's for June 7th up through 9 p.m.-ish.
Yep, 69. Yeah. I'll
Do
second
I-
that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll get something to you in writing, Mark. And then we'll chat next week after the event and see how everything went, and we can talk about the rest of the series as we go forward.
That's great. And Chief, if you want to meet out there on Friday or Saturday, whatever, walk the space to, show me any concerns on crowd control, I'll gladly, I can do that. It's up to you.
He's nodding.
He's nodding and said that would be a great
Yes,
idea, so
yes.
we'll leave it to you folks to
Yeah.
connect.
Okay, great.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Mark. Safe travels.
Thank you all. Okay.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Excellent.
All right, I appreciate all the input on that.
Good.
And then
Good.
we made the motion, so the last thing we have to do is sign the documents. And I think we're good, so let's just keep going on that. And Bob, if you want to hop off, I think we're done with motions, and just make sure you come in and sign the rest of the documents.
And then, so that,
No.
the original document that we had for Whitney's, that's gonna be edited,
Correct, because it won't be an extended liquor license.
right?
And actually, Julie needs to get these documents overnighted tonight, so Frank and I will be the 2 out of 3 to sign these.
Okay.
So you'll see copies afterwards.
All right.
All right. We do not need an extended liquor license for Christmas Farm Inn because they have an extended liquor license in place already. So while that's on the agenda, there's nothing to do on that one. So, any public comment? Nope.
You can
Penny?
say something.
Nope.
Too late to comment about the concert series?
Did you have comments about it?
Yeah.
Can I hear them?
Sure. Curious as to how and who is going to measure the decibels to ensure that the band has
The
to
band
do-
has to be responsible for that, as they are for all the any other tented events. So, if there's a complaint, then the bands have to band and Mark would be responsible for it,
for
basically.
measure.
Mhm.
At the beginning of the discussion, it was mentioned that there was a band trailer, and the band trailer doesn't fit in the tent, and it's
Right.
gonna be set up next to the tent. Another comment said the band is going to be in the tent.
No, the
so-
band will be inside the tent, and
With the truck.
so I don't always respond to public comments, but I want to answer your questions to be
Okay.
respectful of this. So when Mark talked at first, he said the band has a trailer, we're gonna set the trailer out. And I said, no, you can't do that, it has to be within tent walls. He said, well, we'll see if we can get a tent to go around the trailer. That
Okay.
didn't work, so now he's only doing tent, so no trailer. I'm not even sure if they have a stage or if they're going to be on the ground, but whatever it is, like Chief Purley said, they're limited by that 2020 tent.
Okay.
That's what they have to manage and control for this event, so we'll see how that goes.
And the other thing is this a is this conforming use for rural residential? It's not a wedding. A wedding, you know
Right.
how many people are coming, you know how to plan for it, you
Right.
know you have parking capacity, and everything's kind of
And we
a
did,
known entity.
Yeah.
Whereas this is you don't know the numbers, you don't know the volume, you don't know whether people are going to be tailgating the party in the parking lot. Is this a more non-conforming use for?
we did consider that, and we haven't gotten enough legal consultation on that yet because of what happened with Black Mountain too, and the outside of the ski, it wasn't just a ski event that they had, it was a large party. So we're still dealing with that, and we'll find out more. So I don't have an answer for that question today.
Okay. Just express my concern, it's being advertised as another Jaspin event, which is
Yes.
Black Mountain's term, so expressing my concern over drinking and driving and tailgating and volume, et cetera.
Agreed, and I appreciate that, and I'm glad that Chief Purley and his staff are here to be aware of this event. Bob, comment?
Well, I would just, when we put that letter together for extended liquor license permits, and we stipulated tent walls always down, calibrated decibel reader, 90 or below, it was easy enough for businesses to comply with that when the tent walls were down, because anything louder than that blows people out of the tent. And when we had the tent at the Eagle with the tent walls down and the decibel reader not going over 90, the people on Sugar Hill, which were the primary sources of complaint, felt that it was fine. It made a big difference. And so that's kind of the logic that we're throwing forward with this. I mean, up until now, I thought this was an extended liquor license
Yeah.
request.
Yeah.
So, I don't necessarily understand how he's gonna get 300 people up there without any drinking outside. But that'd be a wonderful business model if it worked, because, 300 people, and to echo the chief's concerns, even if there was one police officer there, that's got potential to grow into a mob scene. So the only thing that could possibly move it in that direction is if people were way overserved inside. And so that's still a
Agreed.
concern, and I hope that Chief brings that up with him when they meet on Friday, is that you know, if this is a long-term thing and he wants it to be on a regular basis, then he's got incentive to make sure people aren't overserved.
I absolutely agree with that, and just in conversations I've had with Mark, it isn't, we're not dealing with the same person that we dealt with that had that other attitude. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that this is successful for him and for the residents in the area. And this is also bringing up some other possible gaps in some of our ordinances and
Right.
things that we may have to discuss after this. So, you know, do we have the proper wording for rural residential districts and noise ordinances and zoning ordinances, et cetera. So this will be a test of our governing as well.
No alcohol outside, period. No BYOB.
Oh, yeah.
Then we'll see how that goes.
yeah,
We'll see.
Mark was really adamant about that, and I'm hoping that he's as good as his word. So it'll be a nice test to see how things go.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Any other public comment? Thank you all. I will make a motion to adjourn at 4:40.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.